Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump Nuts, and we want the cup nuts. It is Thursday, May 30th in the United States, and this is What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Use promo code What Chaos for a first deposit match up to $100. I am DJ Bean, aka the Third Revelation. That is Pete Blackburn, and that is Sean DePaz. No other nicknames today because I can't think of any, and because I woke up today feeling like a motherfucking oil man. Both series are 2-2. God bless America.
Yeah, that's the big takeaway, is that I'm so glad that both of these series are tied. I said it last night, said it yesterday. I was rooting for the Oilers yesterday, even as a Stars man, because I just want as much of these series as we can possibly get. And so now we're at least getting 6 games from both of them. I'm cool with that.
Are you not a David Bowie guy?
A Starman?
Yes, you should be a Starman.
A Dave Starman?
A Starman waiting in the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starman is a fucking great song.
It is.
You know that song?
I do know that song.
How does it go?
Starman waiting in the night.
There's a starman waiting in the night.
It's always in fucking trailers.
It's always in trailers.
It's in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
But he
trailer
thinks
or
he'd
whatever.
blow our minds.
You weren't gonna get me to try to fucking sing David Bowie. Nice try though.
Why? Fucking should. Oh man, what a night last night. And just what? These are the 2 best series of the postseason so far. Sean's probably not going to go there because he famously does not care about the Rangers. I love both of these series. I don't love the Eastern Conference Final nearly as much as I love this Western Conference Final. Sean, you're thinking about it. Are you thinking about it?
I was just trying to think of the other series. Like, I mean, there was other really good series. Like, the series isn't over yet. If the Rangers or the Panthers win the next 2 games, I'm going to have a hard time saying that a series that went 6 is better than some of the 7-game series.
I still think it would be. I still think it would be better than a lot of the series in the playoffs, even the ones that went 7.
Carolina Rangers was a sneaky good series. Boston, Florida, I think everyone thought was a very good series at the time. Edmonton, Vancouver, that was all right.
That went 7.
Went 7?
That went 7. I don't think I would say that was better than Rangers-Panthers.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Or I would say just no way. Nothing is going to touch, I think maybe for the rest of our lives, Edmonton, Dallas.
Oh, get out of here. Edmonton, Calgary from a few years ago.
That was like 2 seconds long.
Yeah, but every game was fucking incredible. That's proof that like a game series that goes 5 games can still be a fucking incredible series that can top a 7-game series.
Shout out Rod Brindamore. What do you think Rod Brindamore would do with 5 games? He doesn't even know.
I don't know.
He'd say it was actually more like a 6-game series.
Yeah, that's right.
This was more like a 7-game series.
What would he say if his team lost in 7? He would say, should play best of 9.
This looked like this. I know that it ended in 7. This one felt more like a 14-gamer.
This playoffs is interesting, though, because I feel like usually you have the most fun in the first round. Second round, still having quite a bit of fun. But by the time you get to the conference finals, it feels a bit more like tame in that it's like more intense and it's not as crazy.
Oh, yeah.
This year, I feel like it is the exact opposite. The first round left a little bit to be desired, not quite lived up to the hype of what we would expect from a first round. Things got better in the second round. And things are reaching their peak right now with the third round. I can't imagine whatever the Stanley Cup final is, like matching how great I feel. And maybe it's just because we're getting a game every single night versus every other night in the Stanley Cup final. But like, I feel fucking alive in these conference finals.
I do wonder, though, is the chaos behind us? Like, is realistically, is there more chaos to come in the Stanley Cup final? Because I don't feel a lot of chaos from the teams. I do, or character-wise, I should say, I do get chaos out of, and we'll visit a Wayne Gretzky quote coming up shortly, that one team will outplay the other one and lose more regularly in this round than I've seen in many years. I think that generally, by this point, both teams bear down and they grind it out, and one team just gets that little thing that gives them the edge, and that's it. This, we're seeing stretches where a team will like handily outplay the other one. Eastern Conference, 2 games in a row now, the Panthers have fucking worked the Rangers, and they only have 1 win to show for it. Mm-hmm. Game 3 really should have gone in their favor. It doesn't end up going in their favor. So I wonder if like the actual bullshit of this effing guy or this effing coach, Paul, is going to be behind us by the time we reach the cup final? Like, is there any matchup that we'll see, be it Dallas, New York, Dallas, Florida, Edmonton, either of those teams where you're like, man, these guys really don't like each other? I don't know. I think that we're kind of getting to business time.
No, I mean, as long as Florida's still alive, you're always going to have, like, these fucking guys.
Johnny the joke maker.
Same with the Oilers. As long as the Oilers are alive, you're going to have...
Oilers have more of it on the ice,
way.
though.
Yeah, different way.
I see what you mean.
Johnny the joke maker, but, like, also the Panthers, even during the regular season, over an 82-game sample, were constantly just so fucking annoying for their opponents. Like, they live in the shit.
Yeah.
They're never giving that up. So, like, as far as this fucking guy on the ice kind of deal, Igor is the remaining this fucking guy. Like, how is he doing this?
Oh, sure. I think that it depends on how you define this fucking guy, because how do you solve the player is probably Igor Shesterkin at this point. I don't like the term. I think this was the episode that you were remote, but I don't like the conversation of a team is getting goalied. I think that it is so disrespectful to the game of hockey to boil it down to they're not scoring goals. Therefore, this guy is a big problem for them. Goalies
are on the roster. If you have a better goalie, that's to credit to your team.
Goalies are right, but goalies can be awesome players and they can be difference makers. I think there's a difference between a player being a difference maker, which goalies regularly are, and it boils down to this one thing.
I have more of a problem when a team says they got goalied when the goalie is elite. Like, you can say that you got goalied by a guy like Artur Shilov.
I couldn't beat this fucking rando.
Like Artur Shilov. I think if the Oilers lost to the Vancouver Canucks, you could be like, fuck, they got goalied by Artur Shilov, just because we don't have a book on him yet, and he kind of just came out of nowhere. If you get goalied by Igor Shesterkin, like, you got beat by the team with a better fucking goaltender. He is one of the best goaltenders in the entire NHL. That's a credit to the Rangers for having that guy.
Look what hockey heads we are. Even our grab ass is all about hockey. Super chat from the Love of Your Life. Hello, my friend. Says, we will talk about the death of Boston today.
Will we talk about the death of Boston today? Question mark.
We also will, I suppose. Shout out Minnesota for winning the Walter Cup. They win the first PWHL finals. Nice empty netter out of Kendall Coyne Schofield. Did you not see it?
Nope.
Not a second?
Not a second.
You weren't double screening? I'm a fucking oil man. I was
You
double
didn't
screening.
even need a double screen.
I don't have a double screen anymore.
You didn't need a double screen. The first two periods were done before the game started, and then the end of the game happened during intermission.
I sent you a picture of my double screen, Sean. You know I was double screening.
I know you
Did
were.
you not see the text?
I just said you didn't have to.
What was I double screening?
PWHL and There Will Be Blood.
I knew it. I didn't even see the picture, and I knew the answer.
It was awesome.
And to be clear, There Will Be Blood was on the main TV.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
I was saying that like not
PWHL is in its first fucking season.
Endearing. Yeah.
There will be blood has earned it. PWHL is earning it.
Fair.
There Will Be Blood locked in. Oilers tie the Western Conference Final with a shocking Game 4. And before I give the rundown and the blow by blow, I just want to say that I feel every game of this series has either been a classic or a stupid classic. And I fucking love that for my guys.
I think I prefer the stupid classics.
I think we definitely prefer the stupid classics.
We're calling last night a stupid classic, right? Absolutely a stupid classic.
But last night was also a classic. It could be a stupid. I think the two things can be true at the same time. Sean, are we getting classic or stupid classic?
I think it's got to be stupid classic because I feel like a classic requires both teams to be awesome the whole time. Like it's got to be.
And last night, as a handsome man said on Twitter following the game, last night was a complete 52-minute effort from the Oilers. They were so impressive. A little in case you
also, I think when Ryan McLeod scores, it automatically qualifies as a stupid classic. Yeah.
All right. So the Stars score on the first shot of the game, 58 seconds in. They go up 2-0 less than 5 minutes later on a wide shot that goes off. Yes, Darnell Nurse's booty cheeks and into the net. Then after about 3 or 4 minutes of I think both teams being like shocked at what had happened, I don't think either team expected like, whoa, we're 5 minutes into the game and it's 2-0 Stars. This was the must-win game for Edmonton. what's going on. I don't think either team expected it to be there. The Oilers score 2 goals in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Stars finish the first period on their heels. Oilers get a shorthanded goal from Matthias Janmark in the second period, followed shortly by Leon Draisaitl goal, and that pretty much puts it away. Chris Tanev leaves the game in the second period.
I wouldn't say that put it away, but, you know, ultimately,
yeah,
yes,
right. All said and done. The Janmark goal.
Did anybody feel like that game was over at that point?
No, not
way.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was saying that it scores another goal and Dallas doesn't score another goal the rest of the game. Chris Tanev leaves in the second period, doesn't return, and the Oilers close it out on a Matthias Ekholm empty netter. 5-2, the final. And Wayne Gretzky had a quote in the second period. Quote, "The only thing that you can figure out about this series is that you can't figure it out." Peter, there have been 2 straight games where a team has jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first and then given up at least 3 straight goals and lost. So I think the great one hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, I tweeted 2-0 leads in the series, and it's the Simpsons kid chuckles, "I'm in danger," because
You don't know that kid's name?
Isn't it Ralph Wiggum?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not a Simpsons guy. I don't know if you know this.
Sean, you a Simpsons head?
Nope.
Do you watch any Simpsons?
Nope.
Really?
I don't know if I have ever watched a full episode of The Simpsons.
Do you know that Sabrina Carpenter's aunt is Nancy Cartwright?
Not.
You know who Nancy Cartwright is?
Nepo baby. She does
I know
voices
the
on The
name.
Simpsons.
Yeah, does all the voices. Does Bart Simpson.
That's how Sabrina Carpenter got her got her album.
She's a Nepo
apparently.
niece.
Yes.
She's a Nepo niece. Nancy Cartwright is going around Holly Weird being like, I have a really short niece.
I don't know if it exists anymore. You ever go to the Simpsons ride at Universal in Florida?
I did, yeah.
Coolest thing of all time.
It's a cool ride.
It was
yeah.
awesome.
Universal
The sphere
sucks,
before
though.
the sphere. What?
Universal sucks.
Oh, that's such a
Universal sucks. It's
terrible
Harry
take.
Potter and it's like nothing else.
Harry Potter is enough. First off,
I mean, I agree. That's the only reason I went to Universal. But man,
that's a bad take. That's a terrible
Universal
take.
seems like a relic.
It's not Disney, but it's an awesome theme park.
I've never been. Don't care. I go to Disney and I go on the Rock and Roller Coaster, and then I walk around Epcot and I get the
Disney's
whatever
the best,
Hefeweizen
man.
they have.
Disney is
I
the
mean,
Dole
catch me doing a Dole Whip.
Catch me,
Dole Whip. Got to
catch me
drink around the world
smoking
at
Dole
Epcot.
Whips all the time.
Dole Whips go crazy.
This, by the way, was Pete's answer to his thoughts on the game and the series. So I don't know if, as a star man, you are filibustering.
No,
it's my kind of filibuster. It's good filibuster.
It was a good filibuster.
But give it to me.
Inserted grab ass. I think that was perfectly the game that the Oilers needed in that spot. I don't know how sustainable it's going to be. Like, I don't know. Do they run back Ryan McLeod and Corey Perry on Leon Draisaitl's wing? Like, they had a great game, but I don't know if I want that if I'm an Oil man. Do you want that as an Oil man moving forward?
I'm loving the amount of deflecting that Pete is doing right now. But sure, let's talk about Chris Knobloch.
No.
He takes 3 guys out of his lineup, puts in 2 players who did not play the previous game as top 6 forwards, riding shotgun with Leon motherfucking Draisaitl, who, by the way, kind of wants to get going himself. Doesn't have a point in the last 2 games. And he has Ryan McLeod and Corey Perry as his wings.
Ryan McLeod, who of 0 points in 14 games heading into that game last night.
Not much of an impact player outside of the penalty kill this postseason.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting top 6 minutes, getting to play alongside Leon Draisaitl. Big surprise for all of us. He also puts in Philip Broberg, a young AHL question mark on the back end. And when they fell down 2-0, I was like, oh boy, we are entering Chris Knobloch. What the fuck were you doing, you stupid piece of shit Seinfeld clip watch? But everything this guy is doing somehow turns to gold. The real balls going back to Stu Skinner in, would it have been game 6?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah.
In the second round, right? Goes back to it, knowing, as we had said, even if they got out of the second round with Calvin Pickard as their backup, as their starting goalie, they were going to have to start Stu in game 1 against the Stars because the only shot you have is if you also have good goaltending. He says, fuck it. I'm going to try to get out of this series, giving Stu a little bit of runway here. It works out. Skinner is good the final 2 games of the series. And now, after you have lightly outplayed your opponent and are down 2-1, you make these crazy changes to your roster, none of which, if we kicked around and we were saying, like, what do you do with the lineup? Like, none of us would have suggested, oh, you know what you got to do is you got to put Corey Perry on the second line.
Yeah, and if we did suggest that, we would have been fucking laughed out of the building.
And if one of us said, what about Philip Broberg? First round pick?
The guy who hasn't played since April 18th?
We would have been called stupid, hot takey. We would have been JJ Redick by anybody who knew hockey. Like, you're not just go, oh, why? Because he's a first round pick, you're going to put him back there. Everything. Philip Broberg had a good game last night. Ryan McLeod scored, I kid you not, a goal last night.
I know.
Crazy.
And like that goal was essentially the primary assist came from Corey Perry. So like Leon Draisaitl barely factored into that goal. Like those guys made the impact, not like riding Leon's coattails.
So now I ask this question, and I think I've asked it a couple of points throughout this series. What happened to the Stars being the deeper team?
I still think they're the deeper team.
Why isn't it showing up?
That's a good question. I'm not concerned about the Stars' depth. I'm not concerned about the Stars' forward. You asked my opinion or where I stand on the Stars and my concern level. The only reason that I'm a little bit concerned if I'm a Dallas person right now, which I famously am, I'm a Star man, the Chris Tanev injury.
Yeah.
Like the Chris Tanev injury, him getting he took a Evander Kane shot off the foot, was hobbled in the second period, tried to skate it off, had a couple short shifts, then headed to the locker room, did not return. That would very much concern me. He is an elite defensive defenseman and a really integral part of that team.
4th on the Stars in time on ice this postseason. 2nd on the Stars in shorthanded time on ice this postseason. They are in big trouble without him. Sean was saying earlier in the series, man, Edmonton could really use a Chris Tanev. There could be times coming up where we say, man, Stars could really use a Chris Tanev. To go back to the depth thing, Oilers have more goals.
More from Logan Stankoven. Like
that line sucked last night.
Correct.
Duchesne, Stankoven, and why am I forgetting who's on it? I put it in there. Pavelski.
Pavelski is...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, Marchment, Duchesne, Pavelski.
But I will say Pavelski has been so bad.
Kind of useless.
So useless. So
Stankoven with Ben and Johnson was kind of fine last night.
Jamie
Ben
was very good last night.
Do you know
Jamie Ben was very noticeable.
Connor McDavid leads the series famously in points. Do you know who is 2nd in points this series?
No.
Take a guess. It's somebody that we just said.
Jamie Ben?
No, not Jamie Ben, because Jamie Ben is tied for 1st in points.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It was a little trickeration. Jamie Ben has as many points as
7.
They both have 7, and I didn't even need to look. I'm like,
6 assists.
Jamie Ben doesn't have real. Yeah, he has 6 assists, and I'm sure half of them are secondary. But still, Jamie Ben, end of his contract, probably end of the line, maybe.
No way.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, Jamie Ben is still a very good player.
How much? But like, I don't know. I think he's. He
still, might be like year to year kind of deal.
I think he keeps playing. I guess the end of the line was a little dramatic. I think Star's
very dramatic. Like Jamie Ben, very good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he had no interest in leaving Dallas and just kind of did those like year to year, 1 year deals and then just kind of playing it by year.
On McDavid, I mentioned McDavid leading the series in points. A question I have is, why is Connor McDavid so much better in this series against the Stars than he was in the second round against the Canucks, where we were speculating that he was injured? We were asking all sorts of questions about him. Biz had come on with us, and he said Rick Tocchet, I think, feels he's got some kind of solution to Connor McDavid. But Stars and Canucks, very comparable teams defensively and goaltending-wise this year. Similar, yet in the second round, we think Oilers are toast because something's wrong with Connor McDavid. And now he's probably the best player against the Stars, who we thought was the best team in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a case of him healing up a little bit like that. I still don't think that McDavid has looked 100% in this series. I thought he looked really good last night in Game 4.
Last two games.
Last 2 games, even. Yeah, I just think that there are moments when you look at Connor McDavid's game, and even still, there's a little bit of hesitancy to his game, where if he's 100%, I think that he converts on some chances.
He had another chance last night. I know that everyone's all horny about the Jake Ottinger stick, but in the first period,
where he stick handled, he gave the extra stick handle. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
what are you doing?
I think that's what I look at and say, I don't know if he's 100%, because there's been a few times over the past week or so where he's looked like he's had a really, really good opportunity, and either he's taken an extra second with the puck or just not looked as decisive as he normally would, and it's kind of cost him a little bit. So I don't think he's 100%, but maybe he's just getting better and clearly just getting back to his normal self.
It just surprised me. It seems that Dallas is a better matchup for him than Vancouver is, and that just surprised me. He is getting more pucks on net, 2.57 shots on goal per game against the Canucks, 4 shots on goal per game against the Stars, and he's had a 5er in there. He's had a 6er in there. Special teams, very important in this series. The Oilers have now killed 41 of 44 power plays this postseason. That historic penalty kill we've discussed, including 23 straight. Their last power play goal allowed was in Game 3 against the Canucks, and the first special teams goal of this series came last night when Matthias Janmark scored the game-winning short-handed goal. Unbelievable.
I think that's the most surprising part of this series is, and I guess of the Oilers' entire playoff run, you're talking about an all-time historic special teams unit from the Edmonton Oilers, and it is not the power play. It is the special teams. It is the penalty kill unit. And I, if I'm ascribing credit to last night's victory, number 1 on my list is the PK unit. And I know that they only killed what? They killed 2? I believe that the Stars went 0 for 2, the Oilers had one power play. But like, they not super heavy lifting, but they scored a shorthanded goal. And not only did they score a shorthanded goal, right after the kill is when Knobloch deployed, and I know you love this move.
I love it so much.
The McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman deployment right after a penalty kill, which is just so fucking fun. A specialty line that only gets deployed right after a penalty kill to capitalize on momentum. That's such a fucking cool ass move, and it worked. Draisaitl gets on the board, scores. And to me, that penalty kill was the TSN turning point of the game, and I ascribe the most credit to the PK for both of those goals.
Yeah, it was great. And shout out Matthias Janmark, Connor Brown, man, so many good Connors on that team. Another sogless night. There were 3 stretches of 8+ minutes without a shot on goal for a team. Famously, the first 8 minutes of the game, I said that the Oilers gave a great 52-minute effort. You can guess which 8 minutes I'm leaving out. The first of the game, they went 8+ minutes without a shot on goal as they fell down 2-0. They then had another 8+ minutes to open the third period without a shot on goal. And then there was a stretch in the first period that, again, it started 2-0 Stars. There was a 10+ minute stretch in which the Stars did not have a shot on goal.
Well, the game started, and also Stu Skinner gave up a goal on the first shot of the game. Once again,
happen.
Third time this playoffs.
I didn't think about Stu Skinner lost them the game.
No, definitely not.
And that's just kind of how I like my Stu Skinner.
Yeah, he's just there. You don't want him to be noticeable.
Be an NHL goalie.
I guess you do want him to be noticeable if he's great, but
be like just give me like a 9-10ish. And on the series right now, Jake Ottinger's at 920. Stu Skinner is at 900. I'll fucking take that. That's fine. And again, the goals that Stu Skinner is allowing, there's been, I think, 1 goal.
Puck didn't get off the ice.
Right. Just need a save there. And then the Robertson one.
Get banked off his back.
Yeah. No, the one where he started to move. I think it was the game-winning goal in Game 3.
Everything.
Anyway, we're getting into the minutia, but there haven't been a lot of moments where you say, God damn it, Stu Skinner. There's been quite a few moments where you're like, hey, nice save, Stu. I joked in the first period that last night it was trending towards the Oilers are letting down Stu game because he was making saves. The Oilers weren't doing anything else. But yeah, the sogless behavior continues. It's very, very fascinating. Our friend Sarah Siv needs to keep a log of all of the times, a sog log, if you will.
Sog log, I like that.
Sog log, yeah.
I saw Sarah tweet last night that she was like so fucking sick of keeping up the sog log, and I'm not. Like I find it interesting when there are stretches where a team just fucking gets caved in and can't generate anything. It gives a nice little flow to the game where you're like, what is happening right now? So I'm not against sogless behavior or sog logs, but I don't know. I think that to Sean's point, you want a strong 60-minute game for it to be considered a true classic. But if we're talking about stupid classics, you got to have some sogless behavior.
That's true. Well, what do you think is the Stars' mindset right now? Because a frustration that I felt when Edmonton tied it as quickly as they did was I feel like the Stars aren't even worried and don't get that, oh, fuck, we blew it kind of thought that
too much time on the clock.
Other team should have. All I thought when Edmonton fell down 2-0 was you better not fucking let the Oilers win this game. But even as the Oilers were coming back and doing it, I didn't really get a sense of the Stars are fucked now. And through 4 games, it's 2-2. Do you think the Stars feel any of that? Like, God, we fucking blew it. God, we could be up 3-1 right now.
No, I don't think so. I think the Stars are pretty confident in their own ability, their depth. I think bad night, but the only thing that would give me real concern if I'm the Stars is Tanev and what his outlook is for the remainder of the series, the remainder of the playoffs. Like, if you lose that guy for an extended period of time and McDavid and Draisaitl are starting to get hot, like, that's cause for concern.
Let's spend a minute on Darnell Nurse, who has now been on the ice for 20 even strength goals against and 23 goals against in all situations. He's on the ice for the first 2 against last night, that pairing with Kulak, although the first goal was Kulak's fault. He stepped up in the neutral zone where he shouldn't have. And the second one is just horrible, horrible luck. The shot is going wide. It's a wrist shot from Lindell. Goes off his ass, beats Stu Skinner. Another one where you're like, not Stu's fault, but one where you say, how the hell did that goal happen? How cursed is Darnell Nurse right now? He then ends up setting up the Ryan McLeod goal, which is great for him. But there was so much conversation yesterday about like almost him kind of being a victim of a conversation about Darnell Nurse. The conversation that was being had about Darnell Nurse
entirely fair.
Was just, I thought.
Yeah.
Do you agree though that there was like a lot of like, how's Darnell Nurse like gonna deal with all this? And
I mean, I can get the how is Darnell Nurse gonna deal with this, but I don't understand the discourse around like, why are we piling on this guy? Like the media is being unfair to this dude. They're in their fucking Western Conference final. And their $9.25 million defenseman, who's supposed to be one of their best defensemen, has been their biggest liability. How are we not supposed to talk about that?
That's how I feel too. And maybe there was a degree of piling on. Maybe people who otherwise wouldn't discuss it were discussing it because they saw people doing it. But like when we talked about it, it comes from watching the games, seeing him struggling. Last night was his second own goal of the postseason. He had one in game 1 against the Kings as well. Even when it's not his fault, something bad is happening with him. It's just horrible luck, but it's also horrible play from a very highly compensated player. I did not get the sense that like it brings me no joy to be like Darnell Nurse sucks right now. But
and I don't think from what I've seen, like even Spector, who I know asked the question to Skinner and McDavid stepped up and said, I'll take that question.
What leadership, by the way?
It hasn't been said yet,
did
so
you
I'm glad that you pointed
Sean
it out.
and I, after the show, were like, one of two people who were
Right.
asked the question answered it.
And it was the captain. Great. Yeah.
I've seen, like, McDavid, I think, is a great leader. I'm not putting that on the highlight reel.
And like as dumb as Spector can be at times, like I don't think that was an unfair thing to ask. Like Nurse is catching so much heat right now, and I think deservedly so. You ask the question, and so, you know, I just don't feel like the media has been unfairly piling on or being extraordinarily mean to Darnell Nurse. That's why I had a weird reaction to the way that Darnell Nurse handled his media yesterday. It seemed very like preemptive or something, or you know, he just seemed to I don't, maybe he was trying to get ahead of himself, like being the victim or something. I have no idea. It was all weird. I had a weird feeling, but when he gave up the first 2 goals last night, I did genuinely feel bad for him.
Of course, you want everyone to be okay. And if you thought that Darnell Nurse would have more than, say, half an assist last night, you could have 1x, 2x, 3x. Sean, did you?
I said yesterday that it was we were on big time Darnell Nurse point watch.
Oh yeah, and he ends up getting one.
Do you think would you classify that as a good game from Darnell Nurse?
It's a step in the right direction.
Correct.
Because it ended better than it began.
It was
the most recent
and was not a minus, which I know plus minus you can do what you want with it. But in this
his
case,
ass cheeks are now even as well.
Yes.
Right. Big game for his ass cheeks, and big game for anybody who did have Darnell Nurse showing up and getting on the score sheet on Prize Picks. That's what I use when I'm doing my daily fantasy sports. Pete, Sean, and I are often texting about it, trying to scheme up ways to 10x. And boy, I'm trying to think of how you could have 10x last night. Maybe with Darnell Nurse hits. He was also very physical last night, which some haters would say hits just means you didn't have the puck. But at this point, I'm not expecting Darnell Nurse to have the puck. He did have a lot of hits. That was good. He had an assist. That was good. And when you go on Prize Picks, those are the types of things that you can tick off. You could say, maybe will Jake Ottinger allow more than 2.5 goals? Yes, please. I was on that for sure. And whether it's basketball, whether it's WNBA, Caitlin Clark, whether it's the NBA, a lot of conversation about Jason Tatum right now and Derek White possibly being a more impactful player than him. You could prove Josh Hart wrong by jumping on Prize Picks and saying, I think that Jason Tatum is going to have more points than are being expected of him. That's how I use it. It's that easy. I go on their website, but their app is very great as well. So download the app today and use code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Today's podcast also brought to you by our friends at Bauer Hockey. We love them. You know them. They have the equipment of all your favorite players. They also have the clothing of some of your favorite podcasters, because we wear Bauer all the time, and we love it.
Holy chuck.
Are you looking for new ways to dominate on the ice? Bauer is here to give you an assist by being the go-to destination for your training needs. Whether you're an elite skater or a rookie in rec league, these training tools are built to help you become the player that you've always wanted to be. So head to Bauer.com/training to explore the full range of training gear, like the digital reactor dangler for stick handling drills or the reactor slide board to help add strength to your stride. Use code FREESHIPWC for free shipping, or visit a local Bauer retailer to get started today. Again, that is Bauer.com/training, and use code FREESHIPWC to get free shipping on those products that you buy from our friends at Bauer.
Let's go to the What Chaos Expert Hotline and bring in, what if we called it?
Please don't.
Like the Expert Hotline. Every radio appearance I've ever done has involved somebody using an expert hotline to bring me in. And
They got the wrong guy.
They're like, oh, yeah, and like high stakes, blah, blah. It's bringing DJ Bean on the Expert Hotline. You guys know David Bowie? I heard you saying stars, man. Let's bring in, per the cool friend hotline, Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation. We're doing a little home and home today. I'll be joining Oilers Nation every day a little later. So everybody, if you want to subscribe to that as well, y'all have a great following. You do a great show. And Tyler, oh man, there's that background again.
I know.
Forgot. Oh, it's such a good
pictures.
It
Let's
looks
go.
so nice. You were in the building last night. How was it?
It was not a good start, but it was an absolutely electric finish. That place was on fire by the end of that hockey game. And yeah, man, it felt like Edmonton's grabbed back momentum a bit in this series. And I know that going game by game in a playoff run like this, you can trick yourself, right? If you ride the highs and lows a bit too much, but I've absolutely been riding those highs and lows for the Edmonton Oilers right now. I was down in the dumps after game 3, and now after last night, the way they came back, the way they played, and also the Chris Tanev injury kind of looming. It's starting. I'm sitting here going, man, if you can steal one game 5 in Dallas, oh my God, a game 6 with the chance to go to the Cup final, I'm getting goosebumps.
So let me ask you, like, what gives you the most confidence? If you had to power rank the things that give you the most confidence after last night's game, what sits at the very top?
In a weird way, how quiet their power play's been. Because it's due, man. It's like when you walk up to the roulette table and it's been red 9 times in a row and you're like, son of a bitch, I'm betting on black. That's where I'm at with this Oilers power play. They are so due for a game where they score 2 goals and take over and have a massive impact. So I think that's one reason to be really confident in the Oilers. The Tanev injury is honestly probably 2. If he's unavailable for game 5, this is a Dallas blue line that's already running Ryan Suter and Alex Petrovic on the third pair. Alex Petrovic hasn't played in the NHL since 2019 when the Oilers had him and then casted him away because Peter Chiarelli, well, that was just a Peter Chiarelli scramble move. I don't need to get into that. But the point is, Dallas's blue line could be really banged up. Dallas hasn't been a good home team in these playoffs. They're under 500 at home. So if they're coming back home banged up, I think I'm starting to lean Oilers there as well. And also, let's talk about Stuart Skinner. I mean, since they went back to him in game 5 against in game 6 against the Vancouver Canucks, he's been lights out. And I know a bunch of people piled on that goal he gave up in game 3. And I've talked to, Carter Hutton, a couple other people, Jason Demers, guys who play in the league. And even they were all kind of like, it's a mistake, but it's not the worst goal you can ever give up. Jason Robertson had a ton of time to try and make a play. So I think Stuart Skinner is also in my top 3 because he's now been good for 6 straight games. And it feels like we're back to getting the same Stuart Skinner that this team was getting back in January and February.
And a big contributor for this team right now is the coach, Chris Knobloch. I would have not thought that depth would be winning out for the Oilers, but they are literally pulling guys from the AHL, taking guys off of whatever press box floor would be, putting them in the top 6 and getting results. Oilers have 8 goal scorers this round to the Stars 7. And I know that's not a huge discrepancy, but it's a discrepancy that favors the Oilers. It even being close would surprise me because Dallas is the deeper team. We've always thought they were the deeper team. It comes down to the coach pulling the right strings, though. What did you think of all the changes that he made going into last night? And at this point, do you think he can do no wrong?
Honestly, kind of. I'm everything he did worked, even if it seemed insane. Philip Broberg hasn't played a hockey game in hadn't played a hockey game in over 40 days. And what did he do? He slid into the lineup, looked incredibly mobile, and looked like exactly the piece that they needed to play next to Cody Ceci. You look up front, Corey Perry has been very slow, very ineffective in these playoffs. They throw him back in, and he's grinding on the cycle, keeping plays alive. Ryan McLeod was terrible for pretty much both of rounds 1 and 2. They sit him for 1 game, and a lot of people were like, why are you only sitting him for 1 game? Is that really the reset he needed? Okay, turns out he is. And not only does he put McLeod and Perry back in the lineup, but he plays them with Leon Draisaitl. I don't think we've seen that line together at any point in the regular season. He throws them together. I tweeted, I was like, this is a smokescreen, right? They're going to do it for 2 shifts and try to maybe mess with what Pete DeBoer wants to do on the line matching front. No, they ran with it the entire hockey game, and they got rewarded with the first goal of the game with Ryan McLeod finishing it off. It was the all-redemption goal with Perry and Darnell Nurse picking up the apples. So you look at those 3 changes he made, and all of them, I wouldn't even say they were base hits. I think the Broberg one was, as close to a home run as you can get when it comes to tinkering with your third pairing. I thought putting Ryan McLeod back in was a home run, and Corey Perry picked up his first point in the playoffs in his 11th game. I'd say that was a solid double. It was all good.
I saw your tweet that said this must be a smokescreen, and I wasn't going to do this, but I thought if this is actually a smokescreen, I'm going to kick Chris Knobloch's ass because this is not the time of year where you use useful time to practice and to run lines and to build chemistry to throw out some fucking fake thing. Whoever's going to be playing together needs to be playing together, practicing together, skating together, taking line rushes together. And wouldn't you know it? That was actually the team's second line, and it was a good line. Stunning.
Would you
pulling all the right
return it for
strings.
Game 5? I asked this to DJ earlier. Like, would you return that line for Game 5? Because it's on paper, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, it is a weird thing to look at. I would run it back. The one thing we have seen with Chris Knobloch in these playoffs is he doesn't really like messing with a winning lineup. Even look to when they pulled Corey Perry out, and a lot of people are like, is this just maybe a one-game thing to send Perry and even the team a message coming off a loss, and then you bring him right back in because he's a good vet? No, Corey Perry ended up having to sit out for 5 straight hockey games for this team in the playoffs. So I don't think Knobloch's going to want to mess with a winning lineup. So I think they're absolutely going to run back the same group heading into the next game. I think Broberg's got to stay in. He looked really, really good. And the forward lines, I mean, again, they got 5 goals from 5 different goal scorers. I don't think you mess with that.
Meanwhile, what do you think the Stars do? Because I don't think I don't think that DeBoer has a sense of like, oh no, we let this one slip away, we're blowing it, et cetera, et cetera. But with Tanev potentially out, how do you think the Stars react to truly a shocking loss for them?
Yeah, I mean, up 2-0. And the one thing is, on the road in these playoffs, they've been so damn good at preventing goals. They had 3 road games against the Vegas Golden Knights, allowed, I think it was 2 goals, 2 goals, and 2 goals. Against Colorado, 3 road games, allowed 1 goal in each of them. And now last night they're giving up 5. And I know one of them is the empty netter from Matthias Ekholm, but even 4 is out of characteristic. Even the 3 they gave up in Game 3 in Edmonton is uncharacteristic of them. So they need something to shore up the defensive side of their game. I really did think Rupe Hintz was going to be that, the way he kind of rejigs everything in the forward group. But maybe they reunite that Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson line and try to see if that group can find some chemistry for them and start pushing play back in the other direction. Because the other thing about Dallas is last night there weren't long stretches where they were controlling the puck in the offensive zone. They weren't setting up these big long cycles where they have Edmonton hemmed in, which they did so well in Game 3. It felt like Dallas just kind of was trying to run and gun and get these breakaways and these odd mans. And if it wasn't that, they weren't generating. So I think they need to get back to being able to establish long cycles in Edmonton's end, because the best way to make sure Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl aren't hurting you at the other end is to keep Edmonton in their D zone. So maybe going back to like that Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson line can do that.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's a good
Constant one and
point.
dones.
That's a good point, because in Game 3, I thought Dallas's biggest strength was that they were so good down low, and it just allowed them to control that offensive zone time. And you found Edmonton hemmed in so much. Like Joe Pavelski, something needs to happen with Joe Pavelski, because he's been so bad in this series. And we mentioned earlier the what was the line? The Pavelski, Marchment, and Duchesne.
Yeah,
like just useless. So I don't hate your suggestion there. DJ, you have anything else?
Yeah, well, I asked Pete before, like, why do you think Connor McDavid has been so much better against the Stars than he was against the Canucks? I would have expected against a better opponent that he would struggle more, or not struggle, because McDavid doesn't struggle, but like, why do you think he's gone from second round against Vancouver, we have questions, is he healthy, to conference final against the Stars, who are expected to maybe come out of the West? He's the best player in the series.
Yeah, so like we know there was an illness that went through that Oilers locker room right in the middle. And if you want a great source, my boss Jay, who you see on our show on ON every day once in a while, his daughter is in, I think it's like a swimming class with Matthias Ekholm's daughter. And we heard through that grapevine that Matthias Ekholm was very, very sick in that middle round. There was even a clip from it's a hilarious story that he told on the show. But there was a clip from the Oilers like behind the scenes show where Matthias Ekholm got the Player of the Game award, and Warren Fogle goes to hug him, and Ekholm goes like, "No, don't touch me." So like the illness that ran through the Oilers room, the point I'm getting to, I think was maybe worse than the Oilers let on in the public, or worse than the media even covered a little bit. And I think Connor McDavid was really affected by that. I think another guy who was really affected by it was Zach Hyman. He came out in Game 1 of this Dallas series, and he's looked like Zach Hyman of old again. And he really wasn't in Games 5, 6, and 7 of that Vancouver series. So for McDavid, he went from, not shooting the puck at all to, in these last 2 games, he's racked up 11 total shots on net. he's looking back to being dangerous McDavid. And I'd probably slot that at number 4 in my reasons to be optimistic. Like, he had a 3-point game yesterday and basically no one talked about it. It was one of those sort of sneaky, dangerous nights from McDavid where he's creating every time he's on the ice. And, maybe he's not scoring the big goal or doing anything super flashy on the power play, but he just quietly finds a way to dominate the play when he's on the ice, which is so weird to use the term McDavid and quiet together, but you get what I'm saying.
You're obviously very close to the media scene in Edmonton. Did you feel like it was unfair the way that Darnell Nurse was being treated in the lead up to that game? Obviously, he had his media availability yesterday was a little short, and I don't know, even the Bieksa reaction last night on Sportsnet, calling the Edmonton media, what was it, dead, raw, dead, and dumb. And basically implying that Darnell Nurse was getting unfairly cooked by Edmonton media.
He compared them to, he said, I call them the Edmonton meat because they're, has anybody ever called meat dumb? Hey, we're like, I'm grilling that burger. Hey,
I got some real dumb burgers on the grill.
Hand me some of that stupid chuck, will ya? That didn't make sense to me, but whatever. Shout out Kevin Bieksa. It's a good question, though. Do you think that any of the Darnell Nurse stuff was unfair? Because Pete and I were a little taken aback by, look at his response to how he's being treated. And it was like, I wasn't happy to fucking, I know I'm not Edmonton media, but like, we weren't happy to say that Darnell Nurse was sucking.
But also, like, it would have been unfair if Darnell Nurse was excellent for 10 games and then had one bad game and everyone was quick to jump on him and be like, not worth the contract. He's been below average most of these playoffs, save for maybe games 6 and 7 against Vancouver. He hasn't been looking like a $9.25 million defenseman at any point since that extension has kicked in. So I don't think the reaction from the media and also the fan base was unfair at all. And when it comes to the way he handled his scrum the other day, I'm on the fence about it because there's a part of me that goes, hey, I like that he goes out and kind of puffs out his chest, and he was kind of smirking throughout it. And it was more of like, all right, I'm going to show you guys. Like, you guys wanted to sit here and talk your shit in your columns and whatnot, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to back it up. I'm not going to talk to you guys. I'll do my little thing so I don't get fined Marshawn Lynch style. Then I'm out of here. What I didn't like about it, and I feel the need to bring this up because I criticized Evander Kane for it coming into the playoffs, is Darnell Nurse made himself the headline, right? He could have very easily went out there, given some cliche answers about whatever, and no one would have been talking about that scrum. Instead, he goes out, does what he does, and now it's going viral. Now everybody's posting it, and it's a massive story. And all it kind of did, I think, was put more pressure on him, because if you do that and you come out and you play bad again, oh boy. But he came back, and despite the really, really tough start, he turned it around and I think had 2 of his better periods of the playoffs in the second and the third. So again, I felt like it was maybe like a bit of a risk from Darnell Nurse to do that, because if you play bad, you just make yourself look like even more of an ass. But in hindsight, you look back on it and go, he had some swagger and I don't mind it.
Yeah, he was very good at activating. Like, he was very good on like the offensive end of the ice. I wanted him to get that goal on the net drive before the McLeod goal bad. I wanted it for him so bad.
Tyler, what are we going to do about there's been a lot of got to get you out to Edmonton, got to come here for a game. I'm looking at the Moss Pit last night, and man, what a fucking, but you guys see during the first period what the Moss Pit was like?
You sent the clip. I didn't watch it.
There's just there's always a dance circle, and whoever's dancing is always good at dancing. I've never seen anything like that in my fucking life.
Is it a ringer?
Maybe.
They hire ringers for the Moss Pit?
Are you hiring we'll say professionals? You sending pros in there to do the dancing?
I don't think so. I think that's just legitimately people who are popping in and doing whatever. But the cool thing is, like, the Moss Pit gets a lot of attention, and there's usually, 1,000 people in there watching the game, and that's like right in front of the arena, right? And then to the east side of the arena, still right next to it, the Oilers have set up, because the Moss Pit's so full that if you don't show up there like 2 hours before the game, you're not getting into it. So the Oilers have set up another one on the east side, and it's this massive tent that holds like 5,000 people, and it gets as loud in there as it does in the arena. And then that started to get too full, so they had to do another one outside of the tent. So there's actually 3 like jammed packed watch parties going on at all times in Edmonton, which is part of what I love about the city, man. It's like, the joke is that, there's nothing to do but watch hockey. I know Nikita Zadorov said that, but like, honestly, everyone in Edmonton loves the Oilers, and I love the way the city shows out.
That's amazing. I think if we go, are we like overflow moss pit guys, or do we try to get to the OG moss? I like the idea of getting in on the ground floor of one of the extra moss pits.
Moss Pit 3.
Yeah.
We're founders of like Moss Pit 6.
I've been pricing flights, man. I don't know if it's feasible or how it can work, but if the Oilers are to win, let's say 2 more games, it's tough to think like we gotta get involved somehow. We've been involved. We've been watching every second of this stupid season, but man, I want to get out there. How's just like you mentioned that everybody, it's a fucking scene for the games. Like, is it a daily, like constantly every conversation in Edmonton is holy shit, they're doing it?
Yeah, pretty much. And like everyone has like car flags in Edmonton are such a massive thing. Like everybody has car flags on there. You'll see guys in their F-150s. They make oil rigs and put them in the back of their trucks. That's like a relatively common thing to see. You'll be like, oh, that's a really nice oil rig. Good on that guy. Like, it's just weird, man. Or like, it's great. I don't know. It's
Sean's
just so
smiling
Edmonton.
so much.
Did I see at last night's game they were giving out free Oilers tattoos?
Yeah, they have a tattoo artist. They have 2 of them now set up on the concourse. Our graphic designer at Oilers Nation, Kennedy, went and got one the other day. Zach Cassian, when he was in town to be the alumni of the game, he went and got one. So yeah, you can just walk on the concourse. They have the 2 little tattoo beds, and they'll tattoo a little oil drop on you.
That's incredible.
Oh, and they also had a mullet stand the other day. They had a hairdresser set up, and if you went up to her, she'd shave your hair into a mullet.
I did see Oscar Clefbaum was on the Jumbotron last night. Did he just like disappear forever ago? And you guys, I mean, I know that Oscar Clefbaum like had his injury issues and had to leave, but like, has he not been around the Oilers at all? Because people were going crazy when he was on the Jumbotron.
Dude, and we love Oscar Clefbaum. Like, it's such an under talked about thing of the Connor McDavid era when you talk about how, like, you know, poorly the team's been built at times. Their best defenseman, who was on the best contract in the NHL at $4.1 million, disappeared like that after the bubble season. Like, he just left. And it's so sad. And like, again, for him, his shoulder was just so messed up that he talked about how he could have kept going through the rehab and surgeries because he had been through surgeries already. And he was like, at some point in my life, I want to be able to lift up my kids. And he's like, I can't do that if I keep playing hockey. So he's straight up been in Sweden. Like, I don't think he's been back to Edmonton in 2 or 3 years now. So it's super sad, man. But when he came on, man, did it ever get that crowd going? Like, Edmonton loves Oscar Clefbaum.
I love that all 4 of the remaining markets and teams just have such different vibes, but vibes that are very specific to them. Dallas, I think you could argue, is maybe still trying to kind of feel its way out, but in Florida, you got the Rats and everything, and if he weren't canceled, there would probably still be some Kevin Spacey thing going on. And with New York and Edmonton, it seems they lean more into the like getting people and showing the celebrities. And in New York, they're like, hey, it's Steve Sharippa from The Sopranos. And everyone's like, yeah, we got celebrities here. And in Edmonton, they say, look, it's a guy who fucking recently played for the Oilers, and he's 30 years old. And how about that? And he gets a bigger response than any of the people I just named could ever get. I love that about Edmonton.
Yeah, and like, so they do an alumni of the game where they show their highlight reel and all that. So yesterday, the other alumni was Jason Smith, Gator, the captain from the 06 run. And he stood up. They just put him in the crowd too, which is so funny. They don't like put him in a suite or anything. So he's just amongst the people, and he stands up in a Jason Smith jersey and just takes off his jersey, balls it up, and just yeets it into the crowd and just throws it amongst the people. It was awesome. But also, okay, on the Dallas Stars thing, rightfully so, but you guys you were part of the charge of bullying the Stars out of doing their stupid AI thing. Mm-hmm. They erased it from the site. They're still doing that in the arena. I was down there for games 1 and 2. Like, it's
we know, we got boots on the ground. We were on that. Those motherfuckers aren't hiding from us.
It's embarrassing. Their intro video looks like an Xbox 360 launch video. You like don't see their normal mascot. Instead, they just have this like Dr. Doom looking guy walking around in like all silver. It's so cringy. Everything about it sucks.
I don't understand what they're doing identity wise. I really don't. And I want them to figure it out because I like the Stars. They've got good fans. How was your experience down in Dallas other than the bad presentation?
Oh man, Stars fans are so nice. Like they're actually the best. I didn't have one like negative interaction. There was one guy who came up to me and was like, "Hey, I don't care that you're here, but you bumped my sister." And I was like, "Dude, I didn't bump your sister. Like I've been standing here." And he was like, "All right, enjoy the game, man." And I was like, "Well, that diffused insanely quickly, but thank you." But yeah, man, it was really cool. They're so nice. Everyone down there was just like, "You guys came from Edmonton for this? Whoa." And like they were mind blown that we could even get there. It was great.
Well, you almost didn't, right? Like you had a horrible journey down to Dallas, or was it back to Edmonton?
It was back home. So we went Dallas to Nashville, had a direct from Nashville back to Edmonton. We sat in the airport for 6 hours. Then they canceled the flight. So we had to get a hotel. They lost all my recording equipment in the airport for like 4 hours. So I was sitting at a baggage carousel for 4 hours. Flash forward to the next day. We needed to make it home for puck drop. So we woke up at 3 a.m., flew from Nashville back to Atlanta, went from Atlanta to Vancouver, and then Vancouver finally home to Edmonton, landed 45 minutes before the puck drop. It was a long, long day. Our feet touched kind of the 4 major time zones in North America.
That's fucking crazy.
Man.
Not for me. I would have just been like, I'm not going to the game tonight. I'm going home and sleeping for 12 straight hours.
Once the equipment was lost, I would be like, wherever I am right now, I'm just staying for the next 2 days. And I'm just like hitting pause on this terrible life that I'm leading. But man, now I want the Oilers to win even more because you guys are really getting put through your paces, but you're killing it. And we appreciate you jumping on, Tyler.
We can't let the Stars in this horrible AI thing get to the Cup final. We need the vibes of an Oilers Cup final.
I disagree. I have money on the Stars, so I'm selfish and I like the Stars and I still believe in them, but I love you anyway.
Yeah, that's why I only invite DJ on Oilers Nation every day.
That's fair. DJ has become like an honorary oil man or like an honorary Edmontonian.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm getting asked to do like Oilers hits now. Like I'm doing a Sportsnet thing later, like for like the Oilers, and like I don't cover the Oilers. I'm just a
stolen valor
person who's been in the media, but I love the Oilers. I just don't know if like do the people booking me think that I'm like there or something?
It's like what's going on in the locker room today, Teej? She's like I live in Boston.
Yeah. I'll never fake that. You're the best though, Tyler. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
See you later,
Thanks
guys.
for coming, buddy. Appreciate you.
Go Oilers, not biased at all. Let's get a slate grade. Tonight at 8 p.m. US, the Panthers will visit the Rangers for Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. This series is tied 2-2 in what a series it has been. For the last 2 games, the Panthers have taken it to the Rangers. For the last 3 games, we have had overtime. Wild, wild stuff. I'm going to give this one, I'm getting a little predictable at this point, an A. We might have only A's from here on out, but I don't know. We'll have to check every day.
Do you have any leanings as far as preferences and who gets out of the series at this point in time?
I mean, the most fun series, let's not bullshit ourselves, Sean. You know what it is. The most fun series would be
Oilers-Panthers.
Oilers-Panthers.
I want the Panthers. I have very much, as I've watched this series, decided I'm rooting for the
In
Panthers.
the series or in the
series?
Oh, okay.
I'm an Oilers.
So I'm in your guys' corner. I will say I think this is a very, very important game for the New York Rangers in showing us something that makes us say, maybe they'd be fun. Because I think, not to like disparage the market, because Florida has proven to be a very good market that supports the Panthers. But like there is something that Florida could never match when it comes to New York and New York City.
It's what Bucci said. He was like the image of McDavid winning a cup.
I don't even care about that
but
shit.
I do.
It's the New York thing.
That's what's important to me from a Rangers standpoint. I love the idea of McDavid lifting the cup at MSG, but also I fucking love the idea of McDavid lifting the cup at Rogers. Imagine the fucking dancing that would be taking place if that's what erasing a 2-goal lead looks like.
It does not matter where McDavid wins the cup. There will be dancing at Rogers. There will have a gigantic watch party inside Rogers no matter what. There will still be a moss pit.
There'll be 3 moss pits.
Yeah, so it's just more about kind of like the media. And from a selfish standpoint, it's a 4-hour drive for us to get to MSG as far as, and like media day would take place in New York.
Yeah.
So like, but people don't give a shit about that. So I'm saying from what I've seen from the Rangers, they've looked a little lifeless from some of their top players, and they've been carried by Igor. I need to see a lot more from the Rangers in order for me to root for them to get to the Stanley Cup final and put together the best series against whoever comes out of the West.
At some point, a Kreider game's coming. Is that tonight? Or is it not coming?
I don't know. Like a Kreider game where you'd expect
it could not come.
I mean, they have so many guys that are quiet. Like, what do you think is most likely? Like a Panarin game, a Kreider game, a Zibanejad game? Like, I said on Twitter after last Rangers game, Mika Zibanejad had a horrendous game and is having a horrendous series. He needs to have like the best game of the playoffs tonight. He does.
Maybe.
I've seen
they could still win this game without him having it, though.
I definitely agree with that. But I've seen Rangers fans saying like, yo, Mika's legacy as a Ranger is kind of on the line with how bad he's played in this series.
His legacy so he just like, does he go into the Hall of Fame as a senator?
Maybe. I think that, like, you know, when you're talking about the most important Rangers of all time, like if Mika Zibanejad wins the Stanley Cup and is a big central part of it, like I think Rangers fans are always going to hold him in very high esteem. Mm-hmm. But if he flames out and kind of is a big reason that costs him on this run, he may not escape that in the eyes of Rangers fans.
I mean, they lose this series, he's the GOAT of this
100%.
Series for sure. And I say GOAT in the traditional sports sense, which is scapegoat. Yeah, they'll be on him. They'll say that the team let Shesterkin down, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think happens tonight?
I think the Panthers win.
I think Panthers go up 3-2, but that's just because I'm going off of what we've seen recently, which is the Panthers being the better team. But the Panthers have been the better team with top guys of the Rangers underperforming like crazy.
And we've also seen like Igor give the Rangers a shot several times where maybe they don't necessarily deserve it. And there's a lot of room for improvement across the board for the Rangers. So like if they just play 15% better and Igor stays the same, got a great chance to win.
We've got a Utah name update. Ryan Smith went on the Pat McAfee show, ESPN's premier hockey show, and says that they are down to 4 names and that Mammoth and Yeti are among the finalists.
That was to be expected. I think that those two, from what I've gathered and gleaned, seem to be the most favored by the general public. I'm interested as to what the other two are. I think it would be great behavior if he saw the poll results and was like, everybody hates everything except for Yeti and Mammoth. Let's just throw 2 new ones into the mix. And then it ends up being a name that nobody has seen before.
Yeah, I forget what my preferences were. I remember Mammoth and Yeti were not on my list. I think that I liked Mountaineers and maybe Canyons.
You were a Canyon guy.
I was a
big Hive guy. I liked Hive.
Hive is good?
I liked Hive a lot.
Mountaineers is
between
good.
These two, I'm a Mammoth guy for sure.
I like Mammoth. Of the options that are given to us, I kind of like that the best. I feel like that opens up the branding options way more than any of the other ones.
But Yeti just feels like such low hanging fruit.
Yes.
Like, you're Utah and you're in mountains.
Yeti feels the same way.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why I said Yeti. It feels like low hanging fruit.
Did you know, by the way, you called Sarah Sivian, famously, you called her Abominable?
I did.
Did you know that the Abominable Snowman is Yeti?
Yes, I thought. Yeah,
I did.
You didn't?
0%.
You ever watch
Monsters Inc?
You ever watch?
Sean said I could have gleaned that.
Yeah.
But they called him the Abominable Snowman.
Yeah, I know, but it's clearly.
So what did
like
you think
a
Yeti was? Yeah. Like if you saw that and was like, "That's an abominable snowman."
I guess I was just thinking.
Well, I guess
he was his own man.
It could be a snowman in like the non-traditional, like build a snowman 3 big snowballs. Like you can.
If somebody says, "Do you want to build a snowman?" and they build the abominable snowman,
but I'm saying
they gotta go to jail.
You saw a creature that was called the abominable snowman and was like, "Okay, that's an abominable snowman."
Yes.
But you didn't think that was also a Yeti, so then you had to have had an image of what a Yeti was, different from what an abominable snowman was. Or
correct.
You just didn't have
I just never took the time, and truly, that's like taking the time is just thinking about it for half a second. But I just never thought about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Utah Raptors. I wish that it was the fucking Utah Raptors. If they sneak that in and just unveil it, although it would be kind of. I did say it would be a cool, good behavior to just throw in a random one that we haven't seen and have that win. I feel like that would be maybe not great behavior to have like open up a fan vote and then just have it not matter because you gave the worst fucking names.
At no point, as far as I'm aware, was there the winner of this vote is the team name.
You could go back. Yeah, I am very open to them going back to the well.
Yeah,
going back to like you want to go back to the drawing
just getting
board.
Feedback. You're doing a little.
Yeah, I just don't know if it would be good behavior.
What would you prefer, the Utah Yeti or the Utah Abominable Snowman?
Utah Yeti.
I mean,
absolutely give me the Abominable Snowman.
I mean, if we're being
there's no
real,
chance that we're saying
if we're being
Abominable
real,
Snowman.
That's why
Snowman would be funny.
That's tonight's slate grade. We have the Oilers versus the Abominable Snowman. Like, no.
Are you hearing
chance.
how fucking amazing that sounds?
That's like you're not supposed to have what like more than like 2 syllables for a dog name.
That's like calling.
You can't have a paragraph for fucking an NHL team name.
It's
Give
like
me the Abominable Snowman.
The Metropolitans and the Knickerbockers.
Yeah.
Like,
Abominable Snowman as a collective singular is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was going to say, it's not the Abominable
and
Snowman.
when they
it's
come
the
together,
Snowman.
they are an Abominable Snowman.
Like it's like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They just all form into one giant snowman. Although a snowman mascot, that's the one thing. Like a Yeti mascot would probably go harder than whatever you come up with Mammoth, unless it's like a woolly mammoth, I guess.
Nobody
However,
cares about the mascot.
you can make the mascot a Yeti no matter what you make the team name.
You can
That
make
is true.
exactly
That is
like you
a
can
good
make
point.
a
That is a good
mascot fucking completely irrelevant to whatever your team name is. The Florida Panthers have a fucking rat as their mascot.
They have a panther as their mascot.
Right, no.
But
They have,
I would say that the rat is the more famous one.
no, they
No.
have
You
a
don't think
mascot.
so?
They have the rat is like a thing.
You're right. The
for
rat
them.
is a yes. The rat is a thing. It's
Their
not their
mascot. Like you.
No,
they're-
they have a rat mascot.
They have someone who dresses up
added a
as a
rat
rat
mascot
as a rat.
after
They have like
their,
a secondary mascot that is a
Right,
rat.
but they're like
secondary
so
is
that
my
makes
point.
them a thing.
like the
that
rat's a
makes
thing
it,
for them. But their mascot, they have a panther mascot.
It makes it a mascot, but I would say that the mascot
is the panther.
The panther.
I mean, sure, but okay, I'll use a different.
By the way, chat is going crazy for the Utah. Predictably, the chat wants Utah Abominable Snowman. Shocker.
I'll use a different example. Like the Montreal Canadiens use fucking Youppi. Like,
Well, yeah, but that's different when your thing is not a mascotable thing. But if you are the Yeti, you kind of have to make your mascot a Yeti.
I feel like you can go in whatever direction you want with a mascot.
You can, but I feel like it's pretty rare for teams that have a creature of sorts as their name have a mascot that is not that creature.
Fair.
Very, very exciting stuff.
Speaking of which,
Stanley C. Panther polls higher than Victor E. Rat.
Victor
It should not.
Victor E. Rat is a better name.
yes,
than
Victory
Stanley C.
Rat's a
Panther.
good
That's
name.
Naming your mascot Stanley C. Panther when you haven't won a Stanley Cup.
That I agree with.
Is
Terrible
crazy.
behavior. I agree. That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
I don't know if you saw this, by the way, last night on the PWHL broadcast. The names and logos have been decided on. And they're getting revealed in August.
Oh, I love that.
They do know what they are. They're just figuring out a little like merchandising and like the reveal and stuff like that. But all of the mascot or all of the logos and team names have been figured out.
Two of the
already.
teams at the same time are going to be like, and we're the Yeti. Fuck. Like
Great-
everybody chooses Yeti.
Great point by chat. The Kraken have a weird ass troll with Bowie. Like that their mascot would have easily been like a deep sea monster.
Yeah, I mean the Kraken's kind of like what the Arizona Diamondbacks have, where it's just like kind of hard to make something that doesn't have legs mascot. Legs are, I mean, I guess it has arms, but like the Diamondbacks is a snake. They have a bobcat as their mascot because snake mascot is kind of hard to pull off.
You could just have like a human body with a snake head.
I mean that's what chances basically.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a big Friday show coming your way tomorrow. Hope that everybody has smashed subscribe. If they have not, make sure you're subscribed everywhere. I'm talking Apple Podcasts. I'm talking Spotify, Deezer. Even if you do that, I have no idea what Deezer is, but I know it's one of the things. I've never even
Deezer D's nuts.
heard. I think it's only exists for D's nuts jokes. Also, YouTube, very important to us. Also, our Instagram is starting to do numbers, which is very nice. You take that every day of the week. Pete, would you like to tell them to do something?
Yeah. Go fuck yourself.
It's not good behavior.
No, we're going to do a like spike. 3, 2, 1. Hit that thumbs up button right below the video player. Please smash that like button. We will love you forever. at least until tomorrow's episode when we'll ask you to do it again. And if you don't do it then, I'll tell you to go fuck yourself again. But also, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that as well. Thank you very
to
much.
everybody who sent super chats. Those rocked. Thank you to Tyler Yaremchuk for joining us today, and we will speak to you tomorrow.
Are we getting out of here before we at least shout out PWHL Minnesota?
What's that?
Ooh.
There hasn't been like a congrats PWHL Minnesota.
Oh yeah, well it was mentioned.
Yeah,
we did. It was also a show topic, and then we went long.
Just wanted to shout out Taylor Heisey.
You're Mr. PWHL, so
Sean,
the floor is yours.
I just shout out. They won the inaugural Walter Cup. It was
Taylor
awesome.
Heisey, MVP.
Yeah, Taylor Heisey won MVP. They kicked Boston's ass. Like Boston goalie, freak. Like they put up like 50 shots. Minnesota put up like 50 shots last night, and it was still like somewhat of a close game. So.
I did see some celebration videos. Somebody hit the splits in the locker room.
Oh, I did not
they were
see
going
that.
nuts. So respect.
Billie Jean King lives in her own world. Like she gets to do whatever she wants. She came out there and she was like, she cracked a joke to the Walter family at one point. She's like, no, I'm just kidding. And it was just like she's just doing whatever she wants. I'm like, hell yeah.
My my big takeaway from the whole thing last night is what a missed opportunity that fucking arena is in.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, like, it didn't prevent people from showing up.
No, I know, like great turnout, but man,
selfishly,
so
for
stupid.
Sure. If they could have found a way to do Ganis, yeah.
Also, shout out the women for doing something that men couldn't dream of and making professional hockey in Minnesota relevant.
Oh, yeah, true.
Hell yeah.
Got to ask the question, though. Does it delegitimize the PWHL?
Because Minnesota's actually good.
Because Minnesota can actually win something in the playoffs.
Hey, no.
Got to ask the question.
The Minnesota Wild laugh in the face of all logic. There's no reason that Minnesota should be as
I don't know if they
boring
much.
And well, that's true because they're boring. There's no reason that Minnesota hockey should be as boring and unsuccessful as the Minnesota Wild. Professionally. Yeah.
Can I ask you, Sean, now that Boston and the Bruins did not win titles this year, does it make your excitement for the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals raise at all?
No.
I didn't have time to do it, but one of my projects for this year was I want to chip away at making you a Celtics fan because I think that it could be allowed, right? Is there room in your heart for any Celtics fandom?
In theory, but I have become such like an anti-Boston sports fan kind of guy that it would be hard for me to like. I feel like I get so annoyed by Celtics Twitter that I would not be able to get into the Celtics.
Oh, and Celtics Twitter is okay.
I'm not too familiar with Celtics Twitter.
Celtics Twitter is a good time.
Just my relationship with Bruins Twitter.
Oh, completely different.
Okay. I definitely think I have a Celtics jersey. And Bruins that's more Twitter, than I could say about the Bruins.
Yeah, Bruins Twitter, love you all. Bruins Twitter can be
it's a little crazy.
Kind of like
I love them.
Bunch of hardos. Celtics Twitter
detached from reality.
Celtics Twitter is like
detached from reality for sure. I wouldn't say hardos.
Celtics Twitter is we love all of the Celtics so much, and it's they're not really coming for anybody. They're certainly not criticizing.
I think that's where
players.
The Jason Tatum is overrated kind of feeling that some people have comes from. Is Celtics fans love Jason Tatum?
Oh,
I thought you were going to say
they were
all the Celtics.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think Celtics fans, which I'm not.
They're big time. Everything is awesome people.
Yeah, where
awesome
it's generally more optimistic than any of the other Boston franchises.
The most optimistic of Boston sports fans. They love those. They love that team so much. It's hard not to. So go Celtics. Sean is going to be at Game 1, right?
I would totally go,
Mr. Game 1.
Yeah, I hate the Mavericks. So. Assuming that the Mavericks
is Minnesota been eliminated? Are they still playing? JJ Redick went on Felger and Maz yesterday and was so rude to Mike Felger. It was incredible.
Not in the way that we're rude to Mike Felger.
He was like actually being a dick.
Yeah. We went into Mike Felger's house and just like moved some stuff around. JJ Redick went into Mike Felger's house and shit on the carpet.
Yeah.
He was talking down to him.
Yes, big time. All right. Well, we will be back tomorrow. I believe Steve Peters will be joining us as he does each and every Friday. Can't wait to talk to him. We love all of you. Talk to you maybe tonight if this game goes into overtime. I don't know, the last 3 halves, so it's very possible. Talk soon. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.